Yes, 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 yes. Lord bless. Back for another night. Um, you know what it is. We in some crazy times, man. We in some crazy times. And this is Brother Shum's Corner. This is Brother Shum's Corner. Just breaking down the word of the Lord, man. Breaking down the word of the Lord. Tonight I'm going to do a good topic, as with many of the topics of the Bible. Tonight I'm going to do a good topic. I'm going to do the book of Daniel. I'm going to do the book of Daniel. I'm going to break down the 7th chapter. Daniel, the 7th chapter. So Daniel, the 7th chapter is a very, very powerful book. What Daniel speaks about is prophecies. Daniel sees the coming of the Savior. Daniel sees the Lord. Daniel sees the transition into the kingdom. He also gives you the 4 beasts, and that's the problem. We now reside in the 4th beast, which is America, which is Rome, and the daughters of Rome is Britain into America, coming from out of the 3rd beast, which is the Greek Empire. So you got to study this stuff. You have to study this stuff. You have to break this stuff down. You have to study history. You have to study the right history. Okay, so I'm going to go into that. I'm going to go into books. I'm going to go into records backing up the Bible, not trying to take away from the Bible. This is why you have to study. Okay, this is why you have to study. And that's why the Lord said this in the Apocrypha, the 33rd chapter in Ecclesiasticus. He says, prepare what to say, and so thou shalt be heard. Bind up instruction, and then make answer. See that? So you have to sit down and study, man. You have to study. And you have to do the right studies. Okay, you can't just open up the Bible and think that you're going to get the answers. It just doesn't work like that. That's called religious theory. And there's a lot of people out here that deals with religious theory and so forth like that. There's a lot of people out here that deal with religious theory and so forth. Okay, some people study, right? So you must sit down and study. So let's look and see why you have to study. Number 1, the Lord is a Lord of knowledge. So let's go back. Let's go back. Judges. Let's go in the book of Judges. Actually, Samuel. Let's go in the book of 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel, the 2nd chapter. 1 Samuel, the 2nd chapter, the 3rd verse. The Lord says, talk no more so exceedingly proudly. He says, let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For the Lord is a Lord of knowledge. See that? The Lord is a Lord of knowledge. And by him, actions are weighed. So we got to be dealing with knowledge, man. We got to be dealing with knowledge. You have to be dealing with the right knowledge. Excuse me one minute. So these are base verses. These are base verses, right? The Lord is a Lord of knowledge. So why is he a Lord of knowledge? Because the teachers that's supposed to be teaching this word to you is supposed to be bringing you knowledge, right? So let's go to Jeremiah. Let's go to Jeremiah, the second chapter. Jeremiah, the second chapter. Jeremiah, the third chapter, and the 15th verse. And he says, and I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. Okay, so you want to be fed with knowledge and understanding. Why? John 8:34, John 4:24. Okay, John 8:34, John 4:24. John 4 verse 24 says this: the Lord is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So if you're dealing with the Lord, you got to be dealing with history. You got to be dealing with history. You have to know history, and you must know the true history. Okay, you must know the true history. So if you're dealing with him and the books and the records, you have to know the truth. John 8 verse 32 now. John 8 verse 32 says this: and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. See that? So you have to know the true history coming down in the Bible. Okay, now let's go up into Timothy's. Let's go up into Timothy's right quick. Timothy's 2, Second Timothy 2 verse 15. Study to show thyself approved. See that? So you can't just open up the Bible and just figure that it's just going to pop into your head. That's why he says, study to show thyself approved unto the Lord, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So now we're going to go back now. What book are we're going to pluck apart? We're going to pluck apart the book of Daniel. Okay, so to pluck apart the book of Daniel, you need historical books. You need historical books. So I'm going to show you the historical books that I have acquired down through time. Number one, you must get a book called Ancient Empires. Okay, so you must go back into history. Okay, this is Ancient Empires. And you're going to see how this all correlates. Okay. You must study about America, because America is in the book of Daniel. And you're going to see how I'm going to use this book to show you the book of Daniel. Okay, how it ties up into the book of Daniel. You must get a book about time frame. This is also about empires, the time frame of empires, all the way up from 400 BC to AD 200. Okay, you must study history. For you to know the Bible, then you're not very studious of the Bible. You're just playing games. You must understand about Greece. Greece is the third beast. Okay, classical Greece. Greece is the third beast in the Bible. You must also understand about Rome. Rome is the fourth beast. Okay, this is complete about ancient Rome, the fourth beast, right? And then you must understand also about Roman Catholicism. Roman Catholicism is the whore that sits upon many waters that comes from out of the fourth beast of Rome, which dominates this world to this very day. Okay, this dominates this world to this very day. So these are the different records. We're not going to be able to go into all these things, but these are some of the records that for you to know the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, you must have records, you must have maps for you to detail it out, for you to get a clear, concise understanding of what the Lord is talking about. Okay, so let's break it down. Excuse me. So he goes, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream. Okay, Daniel was a brother. Okay, let me make it clear to whoever. The Israelites were people of color. The Israelites were people of color. Brown skin, like me, dark skin, people of color. And there were many different tribes of us, of different exotic shades, like a peacock. Okay, we were not Caucasian, all right, or what you call white, or so-called Jews. We're gonna get into all of that in the book of Daniel. In the year of Belshazzar, this is Daniel the 7th chapter. in the year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon. Now, you need to know history. You need to study regions. So where you need to find out where Babylon is. So now, once again, there is a great book that you should get, right? This is Hammond Atlas of World History. You have to find out where Babylon is, where ancient Babylon is. And the word Babylon represents confusion. It comes from the word Babel, okay? It comes from the word Babel. So ancient Babylon, right? I'm going to pick this up, all right? You're going to see Babylonia here in purple on the map. So this is the first beast, right? So you're going to see right here, this right here is, this section here is the Red Sea. This is Saudi Arabia, okay? This right here coming out is the Euphrates. So this would be the Iraq-Iran region. So ancient Babylon was right here in purple. Okay, ancient Babylon. So this is the region. So you have to study. You have to study. You can't just pick up the Bible and read it. You have to study. All right. So that's where Daniel was. Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions upon his head upon the bed, and he wrote the dream and told us some of the matters. And Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. Now, what it's talking about is parables. Okay, it's not talking about the ocean. The great sea that it's talking about is people. The amount of people, millions of people that Daniel saw. So he's like, yo, this is like a sea of people, okay? And Daniel spake, and the four beasts came up out of the sea, diverse one from another. So the beasts represent empires, okay? Excuse me, my back scratching me. The beasts represent empires, and they came from out of people. Just like right now, Donald Trump, you know, he's trying to forge his empire. He's seen his position, and he's trying to take it from out of, you know, white people. With his beliefs, all right? So that's what's going down. And the four beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. And the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Now, for you to understand what it means to be like a lion and have eagle's wings, you got to go back now into ancient architecture of the regions, of the empires. Now, when you go back to the Babylonian Empire, this is what you're going to find about the ancient Babylonian Empire. You got to bear with me a little bit. Got a little head cold. I'm battling. I hate having a head cold. It's like really crazy. So when you go in, right? Okay, not this one. Also, to what this teaches you, it also teaches you that you must know time. Okay? You must know time, which is chronology. All right? You must know chronology. So when he spoke about, I don't have the picture, when he spoke about the first was like a lion and an eagle's wings, what is that? That is something, an ancient creature called a griffin. Okay, so the walls of Babylon, they have what was called griffins, right? That's what they believe in, a griffin. That's what they would carve into their walls and stuff like that. which was a griffin, which was a lion with eagle's wings. And I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked up, and it lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So they went to war, okay? They went to war, right? And behold, another beast. So what was another beast? The other beast was the Persians and the Medes, right? So the Persians and the Medes came, which is called the second beast. So you can look up these time spans as to when these beasts came out. All right, so let me get that. Go into maps once again. So here you have the Mede Empire. 6th century BC, 600 BC. See that? That's the Persians and the Medes Empire. Now, when you see the movie 300, you understand? This is the movie 300 that you're looking at. Okay, this is the movie 300. When you're looking at the 300 with Alexander the Great, you're looking at the movie 300. So it says, and behold, another beast. So here comes the Persians and the Mede Empire under Darius now. And behold, another beast, a second like unto a bear. And it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said, arise, devour much flesh. So they took down all the empires that were before them in that region. So they took down the first beast. So the Persian Empire swallowed the Babylonian Empire. See that? The Persian and the Medes Empire, through warfare, swallowed the other empire. They swallowed them up. And after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had on its back 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So this now is the coming of the Greek Empire. This is the coming of the Greek Empire. Okay? That's the third beast. And the leopard that it signifies was Alexander the Great coming out. This is the coming of the Greco-Roman Empire, or what's called Europeans, or so-called Edomites, right? So you must understand this. This is the third beast. This is when the so-called white man came upon the world stage. Okay? This is when the so-called white man, so I'm going to use maps, right, to show you. So this is the first map that I'm going to use, right? Ancient Greece. See that? Ancient Greece. You must know this. Okay, this is when the first European so-called Caucasian Empire came out. Okay, you must know this. So this was time span. The time span that they came out was about 303 BC, somewhere about there. I'm just rounding it out. And see, this is why you have to know time. Chronology. Okay. Let's move on to another map of them. Even greater map. Now here, so I'm going to give you 2 empires in one, right? In one map. You're going to see it unfolding. 323 BC, right? There are two empires here. There are two empires here. The yellow empire is Alexander the Great's empire. The red empire is the Persian empire that Alexander took from the Persians and the Medes. So right under that is the Roman Empire, which is the fourth beast that the Bible speaks about, which took all Europe. These are all Caucasian people. So you must know the Bible. You must know history. You must know geology. You must know archaeology. You must know chronology. You can't just open up the Bible and say, well, okay, well, I'm reading the Bible and I believe in the Bible. It doesn't work like that. Okay? So the Roman Empire at its greatest extent about 117 AD. 117 AD. This is after the Caesars and so forth like that. Julius Caesar, okay, all the different Caesars. Now I have a book on all the different Caesars, right? Also, Rome was built on 7 hills. That's spoken about in the Bible, right? Ancient Italy, Italia, Liguria, Venetia, Gallia, Ciscapalia, Histaria, Sicilia, and Corsica, all right? These are the cities. These are the hills, the 7 hills of Rome. So once again, let me give you a view. This is the second and the third beast, one enfolding upon the other. The Persians and the Medes, right, under King Darius. And this is the fourth beast, the Roman Empire. So in coming back now to the book of Daniel, he says, and I behold, and lo, another like a leopard, which had on his back 4 wings of a fowl. The 4 wings of the fowl is Alexander's 4 generals, okay? And their empires, and dominion was given to it. And after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible. This is Rome now. This is Rome. This is the Roman Empire now coming out. See that? This is Rome. And we are still in Rome. Dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. The iron teeth is the swords that they used to use, the Roman legions, which were called pikes, short swords. And they would have their massive shields, and they would stab, iron teeth, and their javelins. And as they set up and they went to war, that's how they destroyed everybody. All empires. They even took down the Greek Empire. It devoured and brake in pieces. See, it went to war and stamped the residue of the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the other beasts that were before it. It was different from all the other empires that were before it. And it had 10 horns. The 10 horns now is how Europe broke up into different sections when Rome fell apart. See that? When Rome fell apart, Europe broke up into 10 different sections, which is called 10 different horns. And I considered the horns, and behold. So I'm going to hold up right there, right? And I'm going to break this stuff down. I'm going to hold up right there, right? Break this stuff down for you so that you can be clear as to exactly what is going on, right? Let's come back now. Let's come back and see how Darius fell. Let's come back a little bit in time. Let's come back a little bit. Let's come back. Let's get the Apocrypha. So let's look at the third beast taking over from the second beast. To understand the history now, you got to get the Apocrypha and you must go into the book of Maccabees. And it happened that Alexander, Philip, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, okay, so Macedonia is over there in the Greek Isles, somewhere around there. You can look this stuff up. Who came out of the land of Shittim and had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes. See that? And he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. and made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, so much that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. See that? His heart was lifted up. So now he thought he was like a god. He thought he was like a god, right? And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Whereupon he called his servants. Now these are his 4 generals. And that's how his empire got split up. Whereupon he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him before his youth. And he parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So these was his cats, his roll cats. He had rolled with them, right? You know, from youth. These were Edomites, Caucasians, you know, Donald Trump, whatever you want to title, you want to call them. You understand what I'm saying? So-called white man. His buddies. They came up through the army, through wars together, right? And they got split up into 4. So now you're seeing history in front of your face. That's why you must know history. This is the book of Daniel. Now, I'm going to give you certain parts. I got to get another book. Okay, I got to get another book right quick. Your books is your arsenals. Your books is your arsenals. Certain books is arsenals. Okay, so Daniel, he got broken up into 4. Alexander the Great got broken up into 4. He died. Okay, so that's why you go to the Apocrypha. That's why you go to the Apocrypha, and it clearly tells you that. Now, let's jump back, right? Let's drop back a little bit. Let's drop back a little bit. Let's come here. Now, as you see, this is Alexander the Great. See, a white man, so-called Caucasian. That's the 3rd beast. That's the leader of the 3rd beast. Okay, the Odyssey of Alexander the Great. Right. Alexander was born in Macedonia, a primitive Greek state northwest of the Aegean. So this is his empire. As you see, that's his empire. Conquered all the way to India. He went all the way to India. Okay? He went all the way to India. This was a mighty dude. This was a mighty dude. This here is the battle. This here is the battle with him going against King Darius. As you can see, detailing. You must know this stuff. This time span, now also another thing, the emblems of the Greeks. The Greeks dealt with the eagle. See that? The Greeks dealt with the eagle and the Romans dealt with the eagle. See that? This is why you must study this stuff. And what does America deal with? America deals with the eagle. America deals with the eagle. On your US dollar is the what? The emblem of the eagle. A bird of prey. Okay. Are Romans white people? Yes, they are. Look at Caesar. Look at Donald Trump. So the Greeks are white people. These are the two main powers. That's why historians know the coming of the so-called white man upon the world stage is the Greco-Roman Empire. Here is a map of Rome taking over all Europe. Taking over all Europe through warfare. Okay. So look at the American cities and look at the same type of Roman cities. Look at Washington. Look at Washington. And you're seeing the same type of cities built the same way, just like Rome. So this is why you have to study the same Roman architecture. Okay. So I'm going to drop that for a minute. Right. Staying in the book of Daniel. So what you're seeing is warfare, number one. Right? You're seeing warfare. You're seeing time. You're seeing movements of great nations. You're seeing movements of great nations. And all fulfilling the prophecy that Daniel saw in his dreams. You now have to put it together. You have to put it together. So now Daniel says, I considered the horns because Rome fell. And behold, there came up from among them another little horn. Before whom 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. So what is that talking about? Now I'm breaking stuff down quick. Okay, because this can just detail out, you know, where I would have to have intense, deep study. The little horn is America. The 3 horns is Britain, France, and Spain. So you say, well, how do I know that? Well, the setting up of the eastern seaboard and the 13 colonies comes from that. And that's why you have to study history. American history now. That's why you have to study American history now. And that's why this map is so important. So hopefully you can see through the map. So this here is Africa. And up here is Europe. And the main European countries, Spain, Portugal, France, and England, which is up there. These are the routes of discovery. So you're probably saying, well, where did I get that from? I'm going to pull it from out of the book so that you can see for yourself. The Spirit blessed me years ago to be able to study this stuff. Years ago. Going back in the 80s and stuff like that. So let's look at that map-wise, right? So here was Europe. Here is Europe. So here you got Britain. Here you got Spain. And here you got France. These are the three. These are the three right here. These are the three horns in Daniel that is spoken about from what is called the old country, the mother country. These are the three horns. Okay? Spain, right, which was once run by the Moors, which were Arabs, not Israelites. Okay? Spain, France, and then you had England. They now conquered through the age of discovery, right? So that's why you need this map. I'm going to give you a map. So through the age of exploration and conquest, they discovered America, which was already discovered by other people that were living here, okay? But they discovered it for white people, which was a fact. They discovered it. Now, the eastern seaboard was where the fight started with the British and then the French. So you had first the British Revolution, because remember what it said in the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter and the 9th verse. First I'm going to start at the 7th verse. So Rome now falls. You know, I could always get the time when Rome fell apart. And as she fell apart, the empire she conquered fell apart. Europe. Okay? And now they splintered off into their own sections. So England became England. The Franks became the French, the Spanish, the Dutch, all these different countries, the Polish and so forth like that. That's why it says, the fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly, and it had great and iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the other beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So when Rome fell apart, when Mother Rome fell apart, Europe now the word Europe comes from a goddess by the name of Europa. Okay, let me be clear about that. Comes from a false goddess by the name of Europa. That's where you get the word European from. That's where you get the word European. Okay. Their ancient name in the Bible is Esau or Edomites, because they are red. Okay. So the Greeks, the Polish, the Dutch, the French, all these people are Edomites. Just so you can see All these people are Edomites. They're red. Look at their skin color. They're not white. Look at the Antichrist. Okay? So you must study this stuff to break it down, to see what the Bible is talking about. This is Esau, a pictorial up here, how hairy he is. Okay? This is Joe DiMaggio. See how hairy he is? You know what I'm saying? This is Dick Butkus or whatever his name is. See how red he is? Look at his shirt. White. Okay? These are the things that you must study. Else how are you going to know what the Bible is true? John 8:32, and you must know the truth, and the truth must set you free. Still staying in the book of Daniel, right? So now we know you can study it for yourself. Rome fell apart, and that gave the nations she had conquered, the other Europeans, freedom now. Freedom, and they became empires. So the British now, as they came here now, they landed on the eastern seaboard. See that? They landed on the eastern seaboard. And from there, they started what was called the American Revolution. So let's pick that up. Move this to the side, right? So they landed and they started, and this is a great book that details America and the lies and the hypocrisy and the truth of it. So let's see the American Revolution. Who was the American Revolution about? Right? So when you go up, page 102, which is great. Events in the United States. The first war, the War of Independence, when she broke away, right? 1776, Battle of Bunker Hill and all this crap. So here we have the start, 1775, when George Washington, here we have a picture of George Washington crossing the Delaware or the Potomac or whatever, as you can see, right? You must study history, man. This is all tied up to the Bible. This is all tied up to the Bible. In 1776, General Howe and a large British army appeared in New York coast. The British had decided to concentrate on the middle colonies, where many loyalists lived. In a series of battles, including the Battle of Long Island, some 32,000 British and German troops battered Washington's poorly trained and poorly equipped army. By October, the British had captured New York City and had driven the Continental Army into Pennsylvania. Many troops deserted Washington. By the winter of 1776, the entire Patriot cause seemed on the point of collapse. Fearing for their safety, members of the Continental Congress fled Philadelphia. In December 1776, Thomas Paine produced another pamphlet to inspire Americans once again to the cause of freedom. He called this work The Crisis. It began with this eloquent statement. So the war against the British, the first of the horns was 1776. That was for the War of Independence, 1775 to 1778. Okay. Then from there, they fought the French. Okay. They fought the French. So when you study this book, you see that they went and fought the French, which was the second. And they annexed all the way up into Connecticut, New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, all those states. And the French took Canada. The French took Canada, Montreal, Quebec. That's what the French took. This was when they were coming with the Constitution. This was when they were creating the Constitution. This is all Daniel, man. This is all the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter. This is all the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter. You have to study this stuff. Because if you don't study this stuff, you're not going to understand what is going on to this day. You're not going to understand your slave masters. You do not understand how they created this country and how it is ruled, okay? You do not understand that the Constitution of the United States comes from the Bible, which is the record of the Israelites, and the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta was created to shut the kings of England down so that they do not become tyrants. That's why in the United States, you have two countering that counters the president of the United States, which is the two different other branches. Okay? So you have to sit down and study how this ties up into the Bible. This is what makes the Bible so true. This is American history. America comes from the French, from the British, which is in the middle, the French and the Spanish. That's where Americans come from that call themselves Americans, okay? Europeans. That's where they come from. It doesn't come no other way. This is how the Bible is true, right? So we worry about certain things, but we're not worrying about the right things, man. Christ is coming back to destroy this place. Hear me well. Get your act together, man. This Bible is true. I was always a historian. When I came here, I was always into world history and geography and stuff. Those are the sciences that I liked in school. And I liked American history, love that stuff. I never knew how it's tied up to the Bible. Never knew how it's tied up to the Bible. So let's go back to the book of Daniel again. I don't want to stay too long because this can get deep. When you go back to the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter and the 8th verse, he said, I considered the horns. So it's 3 horns that created America, the Eastern colony. The French, the British, and the Spanish. They were in control of the entire Western civilization, the Western Hemisphere. That's why all down in Central and South America, you understand, and the Portuguese and the Dutch, a little bit, right? But, in the West Indies and stuff like that, you see the French, the French with Haiti. You can just break it down yourself. He says, I considered the horns, Daniel, the 7th chapter, the 8th verse. He says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. So from these 3 horns, the French, the British, and the Spanish, came America. Bang. And this is where you are. Now, in the Bible, you're not going to find a word America. You're going to find Babylon. You're going to find Babylon. We are here in Babylon. We were put here in Babylon because the Lord is going to destroy this place. Let me prove that to you. Staying in the book of Daniel, but going to the book of Micah. Going to the book of Micah. Old Testament. Going to the book of Micah, the 4th chapter and the 10th verse. Listen to this well. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now thou shalt go forth out of the city. So we ran out of Jerusalem. The city is Jerusalem. When the Romans came against us in 70 AD, they destroyed Jerusalem, which was our city. Okay? They wiped us out. They destroyed it. They killed, they slaughtered, they starved us. Okay? Because the Lord became our enemy. The Lord gave it to them. He said, destroy us. He became our enemy. He says, for now thou shalt go forth out of the city. So we fled out of the city and we fled into Africa. Right? So let me show you that. Let me show you where we fled to. Right? As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you a better one. So I'm going to use this map to show you. Up here is Jerusalem. And when the warfare came against the Romans, which are Caucasians, we ran. And we ran all the way to the west coast of Africa. See that? We ran all the way to the west coast of Africa. And that's why it was called the Gold Coast. And there the Lord sent the white man to get us. Years later. Okay? So let me go back to Micah 4:10. He says, and thou shalt go in the field, and thou shalt go even to Babylon. America is called Babylon because America, it represents confusion. Just like ancient Babylon. And thou shalt go even to Babylon. Why? Why are we here in this place? Now he's going to give you the reason. I'm going to close on that. He's going to give you the reason. Now remember, I didn't finish Daniel. I'm going to go back to that tomorrow, Lord bless. He says, and thou shalt go even to Babylon, and there, where? Here in Babylon, there thou shalt be delivered. There in Babylon, the Lord shall redeem you from the hand of your enemies. You're going to be saved. Those of you that are paying attention, that think that this is not a game, that have bowed down, that have changed your ways, dear, you're going to be redeemed. He's going to come save you from the hand of your enemies. So this place is going to be destroyed. There's many verses on that. So I'm going to close right now. So that's just part 1 of Daniel, right? Daniel, the 7th chapter. And I'm going to close on this. If you ever want to know what God looks like, a lot of people say, well, I don't know what God looks like. See, because people don't want to read. People would rather have a white God, a Chinese God, a fat God, or whatever type of God. They don't want to learn the truth. That's why John 4:24 says, and ye shall know, and if you worship the Lord, you shall worship him in spirit and in truth. What does the Father look like? What does the Father look like? I'm going to leave you with this verse. Well, if somebody ever tells you, well, they don't know what the Father looks like, well, take them to Daniel 7 verse 9. When the brothers took me to this way back in the 80s, man, I was amazed because for all my life, I was told that God was a fat white man. For all my life, all my life, all my life, all my life. My grandmother died believing God is a white man. Sistine Chapel, Roman Catholicism. Okay, Roman Catholicism. My grandmother died believing that madness. I beheld, Daniel 7 verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down. What thrones? Whoever's ruling when the Savior steps back, you have a throne. You run a corporation, you have a throne. You're a drug dealer, you got men that work for you, you got a throne. You're a gang leader, you got a throne. You're a big homie, you got a throne. You're a mayor, you got a throne. Whatever you running and you think you're running something, you have a throne and it's going to be cast down. Till the thrones were cast down and the Ancient of Days did sit. That's the name for the Most High, the Ancient of Days. Why Ancient of Days? Because he was before time. He created time. Ancient of Days. Ancient is old. Days is time, chronology. He created time. And it says he did sit. Whose garment, wait, he had a garment on. So people say, well, God, they come up with all these theories about God that they never saw. But when you read it to them, they don't want to believe that. Whose garment was white as snow. He had on a pure white garment. And here, listen to this well. This is what Daniel is seeing, that the Lord is allowing him to see. The hair on his head like the pure wool, man. What are you smoking? What are you smoking? So where you get these crackers from, man? Where did they get that from? They never read the book. And they had to deal with a lie. They had to put themselves up as God looking like them. They had to put themselves up. That's what they did. Now, I'm not mad at them because they got to do what they got to do. That's rulership. But do you know the truth? Do you want to believe the truth? It's up to you. In that day, it's going to be you and the Father. He ain't going to be asking you about the white man. He going to deal with him. He going to deal with him. And the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame and his wheels of burning fire. That's all energy that's coming from him. Because energy is the Father. He created energy. And Christ said, me and my Father are one. Okay, the Ancient of Days, the Most High, is not Christ. And Christ is not the Ancient of Days. So I got a whole chapter left to go. I'm breaking down the entire Daniel, the 7th chapter, right? This is just part 1 in short, so that you can see. You must study history.